and say, in the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you. In the absence of Ron Kestner, I've asked Pat Killian to lead us in the pledge to the flag. So if you'd all stand, face the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Vietti. Bunning.
Present.
Engel.
Here.
Ingalls.
Present.
Steichen.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Killian.
Here.
Kestner. Ritter.
Here.
Sherwin. Lovell.
Here.
Allen. Here. Arbogast. Here. Weller. Gimbel.
Here.
Carly. Holt.
Here.
Runyon.
Here.
Mays.
Here.
Heath.
Here.
Weber. Weber. Young.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Fannin.
Here. You have the agenda before you. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Fannin and Ritter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Holt and Fannin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And the minutes you have before you as well. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept them? Schaefer? Oh, we did minutes? I thought we agenda. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. We'll go down to the consent agenda. We'll have the approval of the bills and the appointments. Can I have a motion for that? Ritter, second. Ingalls?
Pardon?
And we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Okay, we're ready for the roll call for consent agenda then?
Pardon?
Consent agenda roll call. Vietti. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle. Yes. Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian. Ritter. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Here. Arbogast.
Yes.
Weller. Gimbel.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Before we go into the action agenda, please remember or note that the Cubs do come on at 7 o'clock. So I know you're all wanting to rush and listen to that.
Mr. Chairman, can we have a show of hands?
No, thank you.
Who cares?
That's inappropriate. With that, we'll go right to the Highway Committee. Chairman Jason Bunning.
All righty, as Clay comes forward here to the podium to talk about an email that was sent out on September 28th, the only action item I have tonight is the quarterly report for the third quarter of FY17. So move.
Runyon. Clay?
So Jason and I had talked, and he wanted to have me go through a little bit of what happened at our fall meeting for the Illinois Association of County Engineers. As you know from the letter, that we had several cuts that were given by IDOT. They received a $303 million reduction to their budget this year, with $50 million of that coming to the local roads, for roads and bridges. That was a result from the meeting. What we learned is that that was a result of the state budget that was enacted by the lawmakers in July. It was a transfer of those funds from the general fund over to the transportation. IDOT had to cut 124 miles of road improvement and 22 bridges from their 2018 program. The Secretary of Transportation admitted to the group that he made the decision, it wasn't anyone else, it wasn't anybody on his staff, to put the $50 million of the 303 burden onto the locals. While he understood our disappointment, it was an effort to minimize the damage it causes to the entire state system. So IDOT would like to have some sort of joint effort with the Illinois Association of County Engineers, township officials, and IRPA, which is the Illinois Road and Transportation Builders Association, to explain how detrimental this is to our already troubled transportation system, but also push harder for some sort of reform that increases funding incrementally as costs rise. The IACE agreed to do this as soon as possible, and I'm not sure of that timeline. So I don't know if there's any questions as a result of that, but yeah, it was the most talked about topic at the conference, and no realistic solutions immediate coming from that, other than just to try and have more conversation about it and more education to those that voted to do this or push it into the Department of Transportation's budget. The hope is to somehow get that reversed in future years so that the money will come back, and also again to start do the reform to the motor fuel tax system if that's what's needed. So that's all I have, and I'm sure it will be to be continued.
Clay, do I understand that correctly, that this was one person's decision?
It was one person's decision within the IDOT administration, the Secretary of Transportation. It was his call in this case on the funding. Now, I don't know that I want to justify it completely, but IDOT has typically taken the approach that if these were discretionary programs is why they were able to be done, that were enacted by IDOT originally because they received some additional funding, and they have always had the attitude that we'll have the boats rise equally. So as they got additional funding, they incorporated these new programs several years ago, because we did not used to receive the county consolidated or the needy township and the other ones that were hit. So these were the ones that now did not require statutory action to change. So,
Gotcha.
yes.
So for the benefit of our audience and
Livingston County as a whole, we had $150,000 collectively that the townships will not see for next year's construction project, and our county MFT, county consolidated, was $78,000 and some change that we lost, $78,790. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I had suggested that we draft a letter from the county. Has anything been done about that?
That's what the association is really trying to come up with, is some sort of format to address this in opposition and future action. So at this point, I'd like to give them some time to work on that, because there's a committee that's working with the Secretary of Transportation's office. I know that he admitted in the meeting he was leaving for vacation last Friday. I don't know for how long. So, but as soon as he would get back, they were going to work on that.
And Darrell, that was a discussion that Clay and I had. We don't want to get the cart before the horse here. We kind of want to be one united front. If we were to draft a letter, that we want to make sure that all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So there will surely be something.
Did you get to see a map of which of these, where these 124 miles and 22 bridges were that IDOT's cutting?
No, I did not. I'm sure that's going to be published very soon, but it actually affected some of the projects that were already, funds were already obligated for. Then they've had the lettings for them. So I had a statistic here, or a number. reported in the FYI incorporated approximately 135 million in funding that had already been bid. So it's even projects that had been let and awarded that they're going to have to now cut.
So you're saying that the projects have been awarded and now they're coming back and saying, sorry?
The funding's not available, so we're not going to be able to do this. I mean, that's essentially what it amounts to.
One other question, did you guys talk at all about the impact of the lockbox amendment?
We did, and that was the intention of the lockbox, was to hold this funding for transportation costs. But apparently the wording and the definition behind it was not tight enough for them to not move something from transit authority, the rural transit authority, over to as a transportation cost. And so they made that decision in the 11th hour of negotiating the budget in July. And in order to get that through, this is what happened. This is actually 1/3 of IDOT's entire budget. So it's a tremendous hit to them as well. I'm not sure that that's what the public was voting for when they voted for the lockbox.
Mr. Styson?
Yeah, this is exactly what Amendment 9 was all about. The Illinois General Assembly now has the authority to sweep all earmarked funds from IDOT. That was on the ballot in 2016. There will be no more money, no matter how many I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Everybody knows the situation at Springfield. Nobody that voted on it actually read the amendment, but it gives the General Assembly all the power they need to sweep motor fuel tax, all the earmarked funds for special license plates, everything. All the special interest groups that were going to benefit from that, or benefit from that, are going to not get a dime. That's all gone, and it will be gone until that amendment is changed.
Did they have any information on where the money went to? What did it fund then?
So it's broken down. We do have some numbers that were put out. Now, these I would want to have confirmed, but I do have some of those numbers. Debt service for highway bonds appears to be $52 million. Debt service on bonds for RTA, Rural Transit Authority capital projects, is $130 million. State's operating match to the Rural Transit Authority is $100 million. Free senior rides and paratransit in the Chicago area was $21 million. That's the breakdown of the 303.
If anybody else wants any of the other numbers, that was in the email that was sent on the 28th of September.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay,
other
we
than
have a
need to
motion.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Second. Any questions on the quarterly report? Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Piety,
Thanks, Clay.
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Slagle,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Killian. Ritter,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes,
Yes.
Lovell, Allen,
Yes.
Arbogast, Gimbel,
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
Yes.
Heath,
Yes.
Weber, Young,
Yes.
Yoder, Fannin.
Yes.
I speak for Mike and I when I say go Cubs go.
Okay, thank you. Ag and Zoning Committee, Mr. Holt, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ag and Zoning Committee did not have a quorum. We did go through and review information that Chuck had for us regarding different things that was discussed, such as the solid waste report, dealing with the landfill, update on the all hazard mitigation plan, update on zoning case regarding windmills. They had not met, the ZBA had not met, so there was nothing really to report there. On the spiller pays ordinance, he had put together a couple ordinances so that we had those to take back and read, and then we'll be voting on that at the next meeting. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for Mr. Holt? Okay, thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Schaefer, Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Joined tonight by County Treasurer Barb Sear. A number of parcels. She's administering the sale for delinquent taxes and did well on quite a few of them, actually.
Yes,
So,
we did.
Barb?
In September, we had a sealed bid auction. The documents were prepared by the county trustee as part of his contract with the county. There were 9 parcels that sold. The prices bid ranged anywhere from $641, which is the minimum bid for a piece of property, up to $10,000. The purpose of this process is to put property back on the tax rolls in the hands of responsible owners who will hopefully pay their taxes, because the previous owners lost the property through delinquent taxes. I'm asking your approval to continue this process so the trustee can transfer ownership to these successful bidders. And there's a resolution for each piece of property in your packet.
Questions for Barb?
John?
Yes.
I was talking with somebody today. What's the process for, like, are these under bid, like with an auctioneer at a sheriff's?
No, it's a
sale?
sealed
How's it-
bid
how's it-
auction.
Okay.
The owners have up to 4 years to go ahead and pay the back taxes that have been sold to the trustee at our annual tax sale. The trustee buys, although we never transfer any money, tax certificates that other licensed bidder or tax buyers don't bid on. After 4 years, if the owner hasn't redeemed the back taxes, then the trustee goes through the whole deed process through court, and then we have a sealed bid auction, and there's a catalog that he puts together, and we take bids. It's a sealed bid. No one has an opportunity to raise the price that they bid, and then the successful bidder is the one who bids the highest.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm just going to say, Mr. Chairman, I'd motion that we don't do them individually, that we do all 7 at once.
9.
I like your thinking on that.
9?
9 resolutions.
9, I'm sorry, I miscounted. 9 of these sales to be administered by Barb and finalized, all 9 in total. And I'd motion that be approved.
I'll second that, Bob.
And Mr. Bunning was the second to that. Any discussion? Go ahead, Tim. I bloody
Huh? Hold on. Just, we need a roll call for this, do we
Yep.
not?
Yeah, are you ready?
Please.
Okay, Vieti,
No,
Yes.
it's still your call.
Bunning,
Yes.
Slagle,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Steichen,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Killian. Ritter,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes.
Carly. Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays, Heath. Weber. Young,
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
And second item is on everybody's desk is a copy of our proposed budget for this next fiscal year that'll start out December 1st, and also included in there are all the levies. And John, you have any commentary on that?
I do, just a little bit. Good evening, everybody. We can either go through 115 pages or the 5-page summary. Since I guess there's a Bears game or something tonight, let's go through the 5-page summary.
Bears game? You mean a
Well, if there were a Bears game, we'd probably go through the summary.
Okay,
John.
whatever it is. I'm going to start with the 5-page little summary here. I'm going to talk about the other budgets outside of the general fund first, just to sort of talk about those and some highlights on what has happened there. On the Veterans Commission, Public Health, and Mental Health, those budgets are in line with the levy amounts established by the Finance Committee, so that's excellent. The Veterans Commission levy has actually been down to get their fund balance more in line where we would like it. We understand that will have to be increased again next year. The Highway Department budget, as we already have heard from Clay, we've had a significant reduction in the motor fuel tax, and of course the budget for the Highway Department, motor fuel tax, county aid, bridges, et cetera, have been adjusted to reflect that change. The tort levy has been adjusted up to strengthen the fund balance in this fund. This increase has been offset by small reductions in other funds such as Social Security, IMRF, such and so forth. We are going to actually have to use some working cash this year of about $125,000 to tide over the tort levy fund, but we'll pay that back. It's in the budget, and by adjusting the tort levy up in 18, we won't have to access that working cash fund down the road. The other thing, and probably the best news of the night among others, but one of two probably, is the revenue from the landfill continues to be extremely strong. The host fund revenue account has been increased by $250,000 on the revenue side in the Pontiac host fund, and that budget amount is now $3,250,000. Talking about now, we're getting to the general fund. Some of the parameters, the goals, objectives of the committee was to hold the tax levy at the current rate. There might be small adjustments within that, but overall, at that current rate. The continued use of the Pontiac Host Fund, but to limit that at the most to a $2 million cap, the traditional and expenses and transfers. In addition, there was a hope, and there were some savings made of an additional goal of trying to reduce the budget by over $800,000 over the next 3 years, and we'll see that in a minute as well, that also took place. And obviously another thing is to make prudent decisions regarding expenses for the county and all of the divisions, including general. If you take those goals and objectives and then factor in sort of reality, if you will, factors that influence where the numbers ended up, we did end up with a slight EAV increase of just under 2%, about 1.5%. So that's good for what it is, but certainly more growth would be helpful. On other revenue, the one big hit in the general fund, the personal property replacement tax, the state, in their good measure, has decided to decrease that. We have taken that into account. Luckily, the other state revenues and reimbursements have been flat, and we have not, to this point, had any significant cuts in those funds. The second piece of great news so far tonight, I would convey, is the out-of-county jail revenue is up significantly. That's in many ways due to the hard work of the folks out at the public safety complex, including the jail superintendents, and they and their staff could be commended, because that certainly drives this. And as a result of those efforts, we have made a significant increase in the jail revenue budget. Fees and assessments have seemed like they've bottomed out slightly. The charges for services in such places as the circuit clerk and the county clerk, and those are trending up, so that's a good thing. And the expenses overall, I believe, are 1% higher than, less than 1% higher than last year, a little bit less than that. And helpful, luckily, was, of course, health insurance, the premium. One of the big drivers of our expenses is in that, and that was basically flat this year. If we flip over to page 3, and we put that all together, on the far right, you'll see the 2018 proposed budget. We start with a fund balance at the top of the page. You'll see that. We have revenues of $9,919,697. We have a transfer in, we'll come back and talk about it in just a minute, from the host fund of $693,785. The charges for services that we just talked about, those are $625,837. When you put all that together, you have $11,239,339, can't even say it. 1,239,319 for your revenue. All right. When you go through all your expenditures, those end up being 1,199,319. We got a lot of nines and ones in here tonight. Yeah, plus the additional $40,000 FICA IMRF transfer we make. That ends up with 11,239,319. You have a balanced budget, ladies and gentlemen, on that basis. And I'll pass along two other things that, talking about the host fund and some of the things. The next sheet are the new capital projects in one spot. You can see we've made a significant investment in infrastructure and county services. The new amount is $655,395 for the fiscal 18 year for the capital projects. Also, there's also already been some money, shall we say, parked for fiscal 19 to help third year of election equipment, spread out some other costs that were significant. Also, below the line, if you will, there's $50,000, but that's out of the construction and renovation fund, not the host fund, for $50,000 for that study. And if you go to the last page and sort of look at it in one little different sense, if you take our general division transfer of $693,785 to balance the budget, the capital outlay that we just talked about is $655,395, the vehicle fund expenditures for the $314,100 and the $45,000. Those figures represent money out of the host fund of $1,708,280, Our goal is $2 million, so we put a significant dent in the reliance on the capital fund for this year to the tune of $291,720. That's my summary, and I'll take any questions. And refer them to Mr. Schaefer.
There you go. You're well advised.
Yes.
I guess I just wanted to point out that the goal actually was not 2 million, it was 2 million minus 800,000 divided by 3 years. And I guess we didn't specify which year, which part of the $800,000 would get hit by. But if you equally, put them across the 3 years, then our goal this year would have been 1.733, 1,733,000, $1,733,000, and we have met our new and improved, even lower goal. And I would just like to thank my colleagues on the Finance Committee and all the department heads that helped us reach that goal. It's an important goal, and I think it's something that Livingston County can be proud of.
Here, here.
I think that'll do her, John. I know you still have a lot of calculations to make. I know you run them through them 50 times. I know you'll run through them another 50.
51.
To see how it's going.
Right.
See if there's anything we missed, but for now.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to put this budget and levies on display for the public, and we'll
And just in passing, I'd certainly like to thank all the board members, the committee members, the department head, and elected officials. It's a lot of hard work, and I appreciate that.
No, I did.
Certainly a team effort.
These
Certainly
are
a team effort.
oftentimes contentious. I hope everybody still walks away friends, so.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you, John and Tim and your whole committee. Take a motion
For me,
And I
Martin
second.
from Mr. Schaefer
Martin will
and
second.
Mr. Fannin. Any discussion? Okay, we'll have roll call vote on the
Vietti.
adopting the budget.
Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Kimball.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath. Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, and thanks to everybody, even if you weren't on the Finance Committee, for your hard work and sending everything to the Finance Committee. It was a long process. Glad this part of it's over. With this, we'll go to the Personnel Committee. Mrs. Arbogast, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a resolution before you on the amending of the Personnel Policy Manual, and Linda is on her way up to give that report.
Okay, so you, I think, have copies of the revised vacation and sick leave policies.
I got it.
I think we had talked before about the way we accrue our vacation and sick time. Currently, we do it on the last day of the month. With our timekeeping system, our payroll system and HR system, the employee self-service module, the programs don't play nice together in keeping track of vacation and sick time. If we would go to a accrue by the pay period, all the systems will work nicely together. So in union negotiations, we've talked with them about it. They are in favor of accruing their vacation and sick time per pay period, over 26 pay periods. They're not getting any more vacation time or sick time. It's still the same. We took the number of days times 12 months, divided it by 26, and came up with our per pay period accrual amount. That way, the folks that are currently not on the time clock, those vacation and sick accruals have to be kept on an Excel spreadsheet within the department. There's always room for error there. This way, if we have it all on the system, everybody accrues the same way, and there should be at least minimal chance of any errors happening there. So the vacation and sick leave policies address accruing it by the pay period. Also on the sick leave policy, in union negotiations with the correctional officers, we have tentatively agreed that any correctional officers, court security officers, or secretaries hired after May 3rd of 2017, they're going to follow the county sick leave policy. But through the negotiations, they wanted to make sure there were certain things captured that were in the contract for employees prior to May 3rd of 2017, and they wanted to make sure that got addressed. So I added another section to the sick leave policy, 8-4.9, and it really only is intended for those correctional officers, court security, or secretaries of at the jail. The labor, the FOP representative have seen this. He was fine. Chris Walters has looked at it and he was in agreement with it. So while we were doing this sick leave accrual and vacation leave accrual, we went ahead and added that in so that the union would know that that's what they were going to have to abide by. So, any questions?
Good.
There's no questions for Linda. I make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Mrs. Gerwin? Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Arbogast. Gimbel.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath. Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, if no other questions for Linda, I thank you, Linda, for.
Kathy?
Yeah?
I did have one other thing.
Oh, okay.
We did approve the health, dental, and vision renewal. We came out very nicely on that. I mean, a 1/3% decrease on health. Dental stayed the same, and vision went up 5%, but 5% meant 60 cents a month. So, I mean, it was not much. So we're thrilled with that. Everything was in happy land, and then OSF and Blue Cross got into their little,
Correct. Yes.
there's,
No, they're not. They're not, no. They're
Yeah.
negotiating, but not today, they're not.
What?
Not
Not
today,
after
they're not.
today?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about Blue Cross and
it's,
OSF.
Jeff Gilmore has contacted me. We sent out a letter to all the department officials and asked them to share it with their staff. Jeff kind of outlined what was going on. As of Tuesday morning, he was cautiously optimistic that Blue Cross and OSF would get things worked out. He wanted to give it a week or two to see if things they'd get back to the table and get it worked out. If that does not happen, Jeff and I talked, and he said, I will come up with a contingency plan. If I have to bid this out to Health Alliance or United Healthcare or Humana or someone, he will do that, and because it's important, because St. James is our only hospital here locally.
So
and
we're not-
it
we're
affects
not-
so many people.
We're not officially locked into Blue Cross yet.
No. I have not signed any contracts yet, so, I think Jeff, I mean, I know Jeff is on top of it, and we will keep you posted.
He's likely very busy.
Huh?
He's likely very busy.
As he was talking to me, he said, we were finishing up, he goes, I gotta go, I got John Kilgore from Pontiac High School on the line waiting to talk to me, so,
Right, oh, for sure.
oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But we're trying to keep ahead of it, and we'll keep you posted if
Clash of the
anything
Titans.
changes.
It's all, you know, the good news is it's all over good care.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Linda? Thank you, Linda. And that ends my report.
Okay, I think we got a motion and a second, don't we, on the floor? for the resolution. So we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Already did it. Yeah.
Oh, we did do that, didn't we?
We did it? Okay, sorry. And we'll go to sheriff jail license. And in Ron Kistner's absence, we have Vice Chair Mike Ingalls.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pretty routine reports, animal control, we reviewed that. Sergeant Hamilton reviewed the proactive report. Superintendent Cox reported that the jail population, 40 detainees from the Northern Federal District, 11 from the Central Fed District, and 34 from Cook County, and 60 from Livingston. One raffle license was approved, and that is all. To be brief, so we Cardinal fans can go watch the Cubs, since we decided to stay at home this year after winning 11 World Series since 2008. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Ingalls just as well be excused. Election Rules and Legislation Committee, Mr. Fannin, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met briefly before the meeting to approve the appointment that was done during consent agenda. And that ends my report.
Thank you. We go to the Veterans Assistance, Mr. Station, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a very brief meeting. The bills are down, trips are down. Things seem to be looking good. We're still flying under budget. That is the rest of my report.
Thank you. And IT, Mrs. Allen, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met with John. He indicated that the sheriff's server crashed, and because of that, he was able to get the department moved over to the virtual server, securing all files. Luckily, the backups were done nightly, so they didn't lose anything. He also reported that Financial Edge has been installed in the bookkeeping, finance, county clerk, and treasurer's office, and that he will be working on getting the software installed for mental health, public health, and highway. That ends my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. Public Property Committee, Mr. Ingalls, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chad reported that the wheelchair lift intercom system here is nearly complete. Some roof repairs have been done to this building. Significant repairs are part of next year's capital project. At the 110 West Water Facility, better known as Regions Bank, I guess, one of the 7 forced air heating and cooling units had to be replaced. It was beyond repair before our tenant moves in. Large hackberry tree, if you haven't noticed, on the courthouse lawn is missing. It was taken down kind of as an emergency because it was so decayed that it was in the danger of dropping large limbs on somebody's cars or on the sidewalk. That was done last month. As far as capital, we finally settled on a budget figure and reduced a capital expenditure, moving from a 3/4 ton pickup for maintenance to a 1/2 ton. Mr. Cox reported at the jail they're looking at a contract with Train to maintain the chillers throughout the next year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Holt.
If those people who got the Pontiac leaders saw the picture in there of the tree that was taken down, it looked like it was a good solid tree. Mike had reported to me saying that it was tested and it was rotten all the way down through. This evening I looked at some pictures of the tree that was taken by the person taking the tree down, Trouse, I think his name is, and that was thoroughly rotten. So the Chad was right and Mike was right in taking it down. But if you looked at the pictures in the paper, or picture in the paper, it looked like they took down a good tree, and I just wanted to clarify that it was not a good tree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Admin, nothing really to report. There's been a lot of meetings and discussions with various entities that may come up at a later time, but right now nothing to be able to report to the full board yet, hopefully soon. So with that, we'll go to Livingston County Housing Authority. John Slagle. Mr. Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, since this is my first official meeting on it, I made a few notes in case other people like me don't really know what's going on there. There's two boards that I'm on now, which is the Livingston County Housing Authority and the Livingston Property Development. They manage 3 developments for low-cost housing in the county with 237 units. The Livingston Property Development part of it is basically just to manage the 26-unit new St. James Place at the old hospital on Water Street, which is a completed project and it is fully occupied. So at the meeting this month, which was September 9th, 1 p.m., they basically went over we approved the 2018 budget for the public housing. It's a $1.2 million budget, if I got my notes right, with a $123,000 capital transfer. They had to switch their health care. Their Blue Cross Blue Shield was going to increase by 49% for the 6 administrative positions and 5 maintenance, I believe. So they switched to a IAHA plan, which is a Illinois Association of Housing Authorities. And they also removed, so they're no longer paying their employees deductible assistance plan. So they saved a lot of money by doing that. With the money, basically, they gave everybody 3% salary raises. They haven't had them raises for 3 years. So that budget is now approved. And our next meeting would be 1 p.m. November 16th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Slagle. Appreciate the report. And we'll go to the Recreation Committee. Got anything, Mr. Station?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We handed out coats and hats and new shoes at the last recreation. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't have a meeting last month. I apologize. I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll ask for any public comment.
landfill, was in court, and what came out of that was he was released. He goes to jail each day until the place is cleaned out. What he had was a garbage pickup, and then he would reload that into semis, and he was doing that on his property without a permit. The EPA took him to court. The other thing was in the campus, the porta potties that were there. They have been, Chuck put together a letter and had it hand delivered by the sheriff's department to them, so that they get that. And they've got a set date to get it cleaned up, take care of it. They also, the property that was over by, what's it called, Woodford, anyway, the school over by Cornell.
Woodland.
Woodland, thank you, Woodland School. They've said that they've cleaned it up, but Steve had went over there and taken pictures, and there was very little, maybe, to my notion, it looked worse than it did before. But anyway, that has not been cleaned up, and they've got a deadline to meet. So probably should let you know that there is a ZBA meeting. A couple of us attended. There was one on the 5th of October. We're done with the interviews or the testimony or whatever you want to call it. The next meeting is on the 6th of November at 7:30, the ZBA meeting regarding windmills. And there they will be in what's, I guess it's called deliberations, where they it's closed to our input, closed to testimony, and they will be deciding what the makeup of the ordinance will be. Any questions? Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Was that Ritter?
Second.
Ritter and Fannin. All those, we got to roll call that? Roll call, please.
A formal record. So we
Getty.
want to go into executive
Ba- Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
No.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian. Ritter.
Yes.
Kerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Kimball.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Keith. Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.